So JavaFX, Java User Interface Toolkit. Now, when you open the PowerPoint, it is the JavaFX PowerPoint, which talks about what exactly is JavaFX. So JavaFX is a graphical user interface toolkit, as we looked at it. JavaFX makes it easier to create not only the desktop applications, but also games. JavaFX has replaced Swing. However, Swing is still supported. JavaFX is more consistent in its design than Swing, with especially what's going on nowadays in the UI world. It is more modern. There are multiple ways you could give properties to the JavaFX interface. You could either use XML or you could use CSS, or maybe a combination of the two, to build this interface. JavaFX supports both 2D and 3D graphics. With Java Swing, it only supported 2D. For 3D, you had to install a 3D layer, and then you can do the 3D graphics, but it didn't come native in Swing. Then it also supports charts. Charts were non-existent in Swing. If you are to design a chart in Swing, you have to literally draw it with lines. That's how primitive Swing is. There's an audio and video support. There's web app support. And it has a huge set of graphical user interfaces that you can use, such as, besides the basic ones like tables and trees, and you can pretty much be building any kind of an application in Java. How does a JavaFX looks like? Well, when you're looking at the interface of JavaFX, your class is a child of application class. So you will write public class, my class, extends application. So all of your classes will be the children to application class. That's basically gives you a little container to build your application. Once you have the container, then in that container, just like if you go to a theater, and the theater you have stage, and stage are performances, right? And every performance comprise of scenes, and scene has actors. That's exactly how things are, right? So JavaFX built itself somewhere around those ideas, that in an application, you have a container called stage. Stage can have one or more scenes, and a scene holds the graphical user interface objects like buttons and all of that stuff, okay? If the object is a container itself, it is a tree. Otherwise, it's a leaf. So scene graph is basically where you put all these graphical user interface components. So in short, if you were to wrap your head around the concept that you build an application, which is a child of application, it has stage object as a container to hold scene, and scene holds all your objects which are presented on the screen, and that presentation is held inside a scene graph. Does that make sense? Any questions about this so far? Good. Okay. So what in the world is stage? Stage is the outer frame for JavaFX applications. It's the outside area of the container, the outermost boundary. The stage typically means a window. When you use a desktop, you have windows. That's exactly what a stage is. FX application is not really a window. It's a container in which you can put a window. So JavaFX application can have multiple windows. That's exactly why you have an application. And stage is a window because application allows multiple windows to be opened within the main container. Each stage is represented by a stage object. And JavaFX application has a primary stage, which is created as soon as the JavaFX application enters the runtime. Then comes the scene. To display anything on the stage, you need a scene. A stage can only show one scene at a time, but it's possible to exchange scenes during runtime. A scene is also represented by a JavaFX object. A JavaFX application must create all scene objects it needs. Scene graph is more or less like a layout in which you can put a lot of graphical user interface items. The total object graph of all the controls, layouts attached to a scene is pretty much called your scene graph. Nodes, as I said earlier, nodes are the components that go on your scene. All nodes are subclasses of one of the JavaFX class, and they're all children of the node class. There are two kinds of nodes, branch and leaf. A branch node is a node which can hold other nodes. For example, scroll bar. Scroll bar can hold a text area in it. The text area would be a leaf because text area cannot hold anything else in it, but the scroll bar will be branch. So things of that nature. JavaFX controls are JavaFX components which provide some kind of control functionalities. You can interact with them. You can do event handling. For a control to be visible, it must be attached to the scene graph of some scene object. Okay. JavaFX layouts are components which contains other components. So for example, if you look at Eclipse, Eclipse has a pane on the left, it has a coding environment right in the center, and it has a debugging environment at the bottom. So that's the arrangement of your window. And right at the top, you have toolbar, and right above the toolbar, you have your menu. All of that setup is called a layout. So layout is the arrangement of items on a stage, on a scene within a stage. Okay. So layout can be nested. If you think that your layout doesn't really has any pattern, you can create one layout, and then one of the areas in that layout can have another layout. So like that, you can have nested layouts to help you achieve that inconsistent look that you want to have, because a layout cannot be inconsistent. The only way to have an inconsistent kind of a layout is to have a nested layout. For example, if you want your main application to be divided into 5 regions, and one of the regions you want to divide into 15 regions, so the outer layer will have 5 regions, and one of the layer will have another layout with 15 regions. So that's how you start building stuff. So a layout component must be attached to the scene so that it tells how things will be done. So you nest the layouts. So this is how a JavaFX application is typically created. You create a class called MyFXApp, which is the name of your class, and it is a child of application class. So it extends application. Application class comes from JavaFX.application package, and that package is not available to you by default. I will show you how you can bring the JavaFX package into your Eclipse, okay? And inside your JavaFX application, you need a method called start that automatically kicks in when your application starts. What basically you do in your application is you call init, I-N-I-T, which is in a method, a built-in method of the application class, which initializes your application behind the scene in memory, which in turn calls start. So you need to override the start. That's why you see override. Do you guys remember the definition of override? It's a method in the parent that you don't agree with, and you want to write your own version of it. Or it's abstract in the parent, and you want to write its version. So either of the two definitions will be the definitions for an override. So we are overriding the start method. We do not take the initial form of it. And then here it gets an object of stage type. And then whatever you want to call that stage object, that will be used, because remember, stage is your window, right? So window has a title bar. So the title bar text is set through the set title. And then you have to make that title bar visible by calling the show method. Does that make sense so far? Okay. Now, let's move on to adding main method. Main method is the one at the bottom. This is where you can see that we're calling the init, I-N-I-T method. And that init basically is called launch. So you call the launch method, which will call the start method for you. Now comes the question from chapter number 3. Application.launch. Is launch static or non-static? What do you think? Is launch static method or non-static method?
I'm gonna say it's static.
It is static method. Very good. Very good. And how do we know that's static? Because it's being called by the class name. Okay. Now, look at this. We are now creating a label object so that we can put a label on the frame. So this is my window in which my title bar says my first JavaFX app, which is being set with the help of set title. Then inside the red box, you see that how I'm instantiating an object of label type. It's the same syntax that we use in Java always. You class name instance equals to new constructor, and I pass a message. And after that, I need to add the label to the scene. Remember, nothing that is on the scene cannot be displayed. So everything has to be on the scene to be displayed. This is the size of the scene, 400 by 200 pixels. And the label is the only thing added to the scene. So the label takes over the entire scene. As a result, you can see the label is the entire scene. And then you need to set the scene on the stage by calling the set scene method. So again, Java is preaching you the same stuff, again, the way it has been teaching you by calling that anytime you need to make a change, you need to call a setter. Remember that? Okay. So in these 4 lines, you will see that there are 2 instantiation. There are constructor calls. There's a setter call. There's a parameter passing, and then there's an auxiliary function which is show. Now notice show is being called by an object, so show has to be non-static. Set scene is also called by an object, so it is non-static. Launch is called by the class, so it has to be static. Okay, that's it. Okay. Any questions so far?
I do have one question. So, okay, so it's making the label object, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you know what do you have to put in the constructor for it to know that it's the label?
When you create an instance of label type, that automatically generates a read-only text, which is the definition of a label, even in Visual Studio. So, and then we assign that to the scene. And label is a built-in class.
Oh, so it's like so there's built-in classes
Yeah,
already
yeah,
for
yeah,
this?
yeah. Remember, look at your imports right here. Look
Okay,
at
I
the
see.
third line. Yeah. So all the graphical user objects that you are familiar with from Visual Studio or other places, they're all available in JavaFX and they're all built in. The only thing is you have to import. And Eclipse automatically imports it for you when you go to the source menu and choose organize import, right? So you don't even have to worry about writing individual imports.
Okay, cool. Cool, cool.
Okay. Okay. So the The third link, JavaFX tutorial. This is a tutorial that talks about what is available to you in JavaFX. Of course, in one class, we'll not be going over everything here, right? But we'll be going over some of the stuff. But I just wanted to show you that it gives you a nice quick list of what is JavaFX environment, what is its architecture, what kind of applications you can develop. It supports 2D to 3D. It supports images, colors, animations, transformation, effects. It supports event handling. It supports user interface controls, which includes all of the interface controls that you're familiar with, sliders, text boxes, labels, and more. It also supports charts, and CSS is how we can give properties to these items, okay? And then there are layout panes, the arrangement of items on the scene. So that's what that link is all about. Now comes the question, how in the world do I set up my Eclipse to work with JavaFX? So I want you to click on this link first. This will take you directly to a YouTube video. This YouTube video is pretty much, I mean, like I put together this YouTube video. It shows how you can download and install the JavaFX in the latest Eclipse IDE. So here I have given you the links, direct links to the places that I'm talking about in the video. You already have Eclipse. You will need to create a new project in Eclipse. Then the video shows you to go to this particular website. And from there, you download the JavaFX package. And you bring that package into Eclipse. So what I want you guys to do is, let me see how far I want you to follow this. Okay. Hold on a second. Let's say if I want you to go till 7 minutes and 15 seconds of this video. Okay. I'll stop sharing. You guys can play this, follow the steps, and let me know when you guys are done. Okay.
In the video, I see you go to Java. Oh, sorry. In the video, I see you go to Java SC 15. Is it fine that we're at the most recent 19?
That video is a bit older, so yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Apologies, man. I keep having my internet keep dropping, so I keep going back and forth. And
Oh, sit again.
oh, my internet's dropping and connecting. So I keep. That's why you see me leaving and coming back, trying to keep
Oh,
this connection going.
okay, okay. Were you here when I asked to follow that video on YouTube? The first 7.5 minutes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm doing
Yeah,
it
okay.
right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
So
doing it right now. I
okay,
just
so we are
wanted you to know why my keep.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay, sure. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Is it? Okay, so we have Samuel so far done. Okay, it's fine.
I am almost done. I just got a commercial.
Oh, that's fine. So let us know when you're ready, Bart. Any questions, Bart? Or you're still oh, you're done?
No, I got it. I got it. Yeah. It was
Awesome.
just I was just doing everything. Yeah, it just taking me a little bit, but yeah, I got it.
That's fine. I just wanted to see if you have any questions. Okay, guys, so everybody has come this far. So this is where I would like to add a few lines of code. First of all, I want to change this arg0 to say primary stage. This is like a little bit more meaningful. Then let's create a label. So this is what I was talking about before. By default, it may not understand label until and unless you can hover over label and you can say, I want to import. Now, this is a problem. When you hover over an import, lot of the people make this mistake of choosing AWT. Don't do that, because what environment are we learning? JavaFX. So make sure all of your graphical user interface items are springing from the JavaFX package. So click the one that says JavaFX. Okay. Now I want to create a group.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing that when I hover over my label.
Okay. Do you have extends application on line 5?
Mm,
Yeah, I'm having the
it's
same
on my
thing.
line 4.
Yeah, I mean, like whatever it is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How about I'll stop sharing and can you share your screen, please?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. If you click on the source menu and click organize imports, what does that tell you? Organize imports, yeah. Okay, pick that. JavaFX.scene.control.label and hit finish. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
One way or the other, sometimes Eclipse is a bit slower, so you got to go the import route. So anybody else who was not seeing it, do you see it now when you go the import route?
Yeah, I did the same thing. Yeah.
Awesome. Okie dokie. Okay. So we have the group class, same way, in which we have added the welcome. We will be giving the group to the scene. And we will set the size of the scene and we need to give the scene to the stage. So primary stage dot show, dot set scene to the scene, primary stage. What do you guys think? Is this application ready to run? Is this application ready or no?
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out, my group and scene are red and I don't have it under import Java, but I also don't get the drop down to click on when it's highlighted to add them up there.
So they're not under organized imports. When you go under source organized imports, nothing shows up for them.
No, I see scene group, which we have, and then swing group layout.
You have scene.group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
the one. Look at
Okay.
line number 2.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. And scene the same way. Scene.scene.
Okay, thank you. I got it.
So are we ready? Is this executable, the application?
No.
No, why not?
I mean, we set up everything, but we haven't actually, um, we don't have anything to run it through, right?
Yes. So in the main method, look at this. You see this? What method is missing? Launch. Until and unless you launch it, nothing can happen. So we got to launch it. So we got to go back in the main and we'll have to say application dot launch args. Okay. Now, before we do anything else, I have one more question for you guys. One more question for you guys. And that question is, do I have to say application.launch, or can I just call launch without application dot? Can I just say this as opposed to that?
I think you can because it's within the same class, right?
No, it's in the parent class. Okay? Not in the same class. It's in the parent class.
It's a parent class.
So if a method is in the parent class, you can just call it.
Well, then I still think
Static method in the parent class, you can just call it. You don't even have to say parent.method. Oh, you were saying something.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I think it's still,
Yeah.
but you just said yes. So
Yep, exactly. So that will also work. So that's why I left both syntaxes there. They both will work. However, when you try to run this, did that run for you? It will not. Did you get the same error that I get? JavaFX runtime components are missing?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay. We need to set one more item. For that, you know what? Let me go back to this FX video. And right now we are sitting at 8:07. Okay. That's where we are sitting in the video. So I want you to follow the video from 8:07 through all the way till the end. So follow the video from 8:07 time till the end of the video. I'll stop sharing. And one more thing, guys, when you are under run configuration, that long line that you see that I'm typing in the video, that is actually in the video's description. You can grab that module path line. I'll show you where in the video's description. So this is video. And then down below in the video's description, this is the line that you will copy and then you will make changes to. It's right in the video description. And under the run configuration, it will show you the couple of configurations that you have, the hello world and the new configuration. Whichever configuration you want to pick, it's up to you. You simply click on the arguments, and under the VM arguments, you will go, I'm just showing you the basic structure. I will be changing a few things here just to show you
that where it says /path/2/fx. Now this first portion is basically coming directly from your computer. So for example, on my computer, if you see my path before the fx, the whole path is this guy, which is c:/user/saady/downloads, this whole thing, which is prior to going as far as the library folder. If you feel comfortable grabbing all the way to library folder, be my guest. Simply click here, copy that, and replace whatever is in the double quotes with your path. If your path is longer, this may go to the next line. Don't worry about it. You just simply hit apply and then click run. And this will run your JavaFX application. So those are a couple of things that you have to do for you to work with you.
So let me know when you guys are done. Okay. So now that everybody's ready, let me share my screen. And that's what everybody has. So right now, as I told you, that the title is the only item, so it is taking over the entire scene. But that's how it is. The only thing that you have to be worried about, not worried about, but you have to be careful about is every time you create a new JavaFX application and run it, you would have to copy and paste that variable line from the previous successful run. But you only got to do it once for every file. So that's the only catch to the process. So what I want to do is I would like to create another application. So let me save this one as. So let's click File, Save As, and let's call this one JavaFX App number 2. JavaFX App 2. That's the name I've given to this app. I will rename my existing file to that name. And in this one, let me get rid of the label. I don't have any labels, so I'm getting rid of the label line, and I'm going to be doing something else here. Instead of a label, I want to create a line. And again, you got to make sure that you pick the line from the JavaFX package. And it is the line that I will add to the group. I'm not ready yet. I still need to add a few more lines between lines 11 and 13.
Okay, my question to all of you is, when you have to draw a line on a piece of paper, geometrically speaking, what exactly is a line? How do you define line? Anybody? What would be a good definition for line?
Maybe it's like the like the title, the portion, the title portion of it, like
No. The line, when you draw a line in mathematics, in geometry, what is the definition of line in geometry?
I guess
an
it's,
indefinite line, like just going.
You cannot use the word line in the definition of line, right? You cannot say line is a line.
I would say it's a shape that exists between 2 points on
Just
2D
a little
plane.
bit. Okay, let me increase my volume for my speaker. Go ahead. Can you say it again?
I think it would just be a shape that exists between 2 points on a given plane.
Yep, very good. That's all the line is. Line is when you connect 2 points on a plane. How do you define a point? What would be the definition of a point?
A one-dimensional object.
Geometrically. In very simple geometry, what would be the definition of a point?
The one spot on the line.
No, it can't be on the line because it is the beginning of a line.
A location,
A
like
location.
one to the other.
A location. Okay, where do you place that location on the plane?
At a end of the line.
No.
Are you talking about like the zero
It
on
could
the
be
zero axis or
anywhere on a
something like
plane.
that?
You're getting close.
The
You're
zero
getting
on a
close.
y-axis, right?
You need X and Y coordinates.
So it's 0, 0, x and y coordinates.
Doesn't
No?
matter what it is, but wherever an X and a Y meet, anywhere, and an X and a Y meet, and you want to mark their meeting point, that's a point. Anywhere an X and a Y meets, and you want to mark that, that's a point. That could be a 0, 0 point. That could be 0, 1. That could be 5, 5. That could be -3, 2. Anywhere where X and Y meet and you want to mark that meeting is called a point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is the 0, 0 point on your screen?
The origin.
Yeah, where is the origin on your screen? Is
I
it
want to say bottom left
bottom left? Okay, so
corner of the
no,
screen.
no,
No?
it's top left corner. That's the origin, top left corner. Okay, so when I say I want to draw a point which is 30 pixels negative and 20 pixels from the top, where would my point be drawn? Negative 30 pixels and positive 20 pixels.
Which one's the x and y? So it's xy.
Oh, the
Negative
first,
30x.
yeah, so
20y?
first one will always be X and the second one will always be Y. So my X is negative 30 pixels and my Y is 20 pixels. Where's my point?
There's 30 down, 20 across.
yeah. So
My
it'd be
point will not be 30 down and 20 across. It will be outside of the screen because I said negative 30.
but that's the x-axis. Oh wait, no, yeah, you're right. X-axis
Yeah.
is horizontal. Right, yes.
Okay. So in order for me to be anywhere on the screen, both of my items have to be positive. This is the positive. So the whole screen is a positive coordinate. It's a positive quadrant. So on a piece of paper, the positive quadrant is the top right one, right? So on the screen, we set it up upside down, whatever it is. But since 0, 0 becomes the origin in the top left corner, so the entire screen is the positive quadrant. In animation, we want the item to come in from outside of the screen and disappear outside of the screen. What we do is, if the item is coming in from anywhere from the top, then my y-axis is negative. If it's coming from left, my x-axis is negative. If it's disappearing at the bottom, then I have to make sure that the value I give to the x is larger than the screen height. And if it's disappearing on the right, that means I got to make it go on the x-axis outside of the width of the screen. And that's how I can animate an object to come and go. You follow that?
Kind of. It's just confusing that that's both positive because if I remember on the graph, if you go down and to the right, isn't that not positive positive? I thought it was like negative or
So it typically,
positive negative.
typically in mathematics, that's how the coordinate system is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't the bottom right, top right is
But
positive, right?
But in computer science, this is your screen. So your origin is right here in the corner. That's your 0, 0. So in math, your 0, 0 is very different than what it is in computers.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in math, this is your 0, 0. In computers, this is your 0, 0.
So it's like if it's kind of like a flipped compass, I guess, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
So if I say my object is 20 pixels down, so it's 20 pixels down from the origin. And if I say it's 30 pixels to the positive, so that means it is 30 pixels positive and 20 pixels down. So that's where my object actually starts.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So if I say my object is at negative 30 pixels on x-axis, that means my object is somewhere negative 30 pixels and maybe positive 20 pixels down, but it's outside of the screen right now because of negative 30 pixels, because this is origin.
I see. Okay.
Okay. So that's what basically you have to be like all the numbers that you put for anything to be drawn on canvas, they have to be positive numbers. So I need to pick one positive point and I need to pick another positive point, and I can join the 2 points to create a line. That's what basically how I would create a line.
Okay.
Okay. And that is true across the board. Doesn't matter you're doing it in JavaFX or you're doing it in Visual Basic or you're doing it in anywhere. That's how these are the basic principles of objects and animations in a computer okay. I don't know. Did you guys do any 2D, 3D stuff or something like that in Visual Studio?
I mean, we were on the GUI. I mean,
Yeah.
we were on the .NET thing, but we really didn't do that much.
Yeah, so you probably did the graphical user interface controls, but you
Yeah.
did not do any drawing.
Yeah, we didn't actually like draw it out. We just kind of just used what was there.
Okay, yeah. But here, in order for us to draw things out, that's why we need to understand this. So I have created a line object, but line object doesn't has any points on canvas or on the plane, so I can't really do anything with it. So that's why I need to ask my line object that I want to put your start X location. So I want you to be 100 pixels to the right. And I want you to be 150 pixels down, and that's 1 point. I want to draw 1 point like that. That'll be the starting for my line. And where I want my line to end is set end X. So those are the two dots. It will automatically connect. And let me change the title to my line app. The rest of the stuff will be the same. When you run it, you may see the same error, and it's the same fix, but slightly differently. That under run configurations, all you now need to do is go to the previous run that was successful, go to its arguments, copy these two lines, go to the new one and paste it, apply and run. And that's where you see a horizontal line. Why do you have a horizontal line? Because the y-axis are same. If x-axis are same and y-axis are different, then you have a vertical line. If both x and y are different, then you have a diagonal line. Okay, everybody got this? Angelica, Samuel, got it?
Sorry, I have a question. Okay, so I got to the arguments of JavaFX and I copied the hello world run,
Right.
and then I got stuck there.
Oh, so you are in run configurations. So you will see two items there, Hello World and JavaFX app 2.
Mm-hmm.
So after you copy the arguments from Hello World app, just click on JavaFX app 2.
Mm-hmm.
Under arguments, where it says VM arguments, click and paste that, what you copied, and then apply and run.
Okay. I did that, but then it showed me hello world instead of a line.
Okay,
Let me
share
try
your-
again.
Yeah, share your screen. Let's see.
Okay, 1 second. Mm,
Okay, close that. Go to run configurations. Okay. Go to arguments.
It might be because she still has her label there, and maybe she put the group
Oh yeah.
instead of
Oh, okay.
line. She did label
Uh,
for
Oh.
welcome.
Okay, close that. Close this. And on line 18, yeah, delete line 17.
Okay.
And then on line 18, replace the word welcome with the word line. That's the name of our line object. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, thank you. That I'm sure that'll make it run.
You can just now directly run. You don't have to go
Oh,
through the
okay.
process. Let's see. Oh, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay, thank you so much.
So now what we will do next is let's try to add a color, some kind of a color to the line. Or maybe to the scene. Okay, let's try to add a color to the scene. Scene dot set fill color dot yellow. So I will show you my imports so that you can see that it is using color class from scene.paint package. So when I run it, and here I have a yellow scene. Okay. So Angelica, you might be missing line 21. That's why you do not have text in your title bar. So here is the difference between before and after the colors. Okay. I want to save this one as JavaFX app 3. Rename the class. And instead of the line, I want to have text object. So I want to have a text object. This is not a label. It's like a free floating text. So again, I want to put the text on the canvas. So text dot set x, because it's not a line. So all you need to provide is x and the y coordinates. And then it knows exactly from where to start writing the text. So I set the coordinates, and then I would like to assign some text. Welcome to JavaFX. And that's my text. My text app. Same stuff. I try to run it. It gives me the error. I go to run configurations. Copy and paste and run. Here we have welcome to text app. Welcome to JavaFX. I'll also show you how you can increase the font size. Let me know when you guys are done with this. It's just one more line I will add. And that will be right here. text dot set font. As you can see, I'm constantly using setters anytime I need to set something, and I'm instantiating objects of built-in classes anytime I need to do something. Like I call the instance of the font class, provided it with the font size, and it let me put the font in larger font size. And always remember, when you're working with JavaFX, all your classes must be JavaFX classes. So when you're organizing your import for font, AWT will also pop up in the list. Do not pick that. Always pick JavaFX stuff.
I did notice though that before I ran it, it when I tried to configure it before running it without prior, it didn't show up in the list. But then once I ran it and then it gave me there, then I could have.
Yeah, because run configuration will not pop up until you at least run it once. That's why. Okay, let's save this one as number 4. And let's move away from the text and the objects, the 2D objects, to button. So let me delete all these lines and replace it with a button object. Let's call this button exit button. Again, when you organize your imports, choose JavaFX button. For now, I'm getting rid of this yellow background. And my button name. So for now, you should see a button. We will be improving this button in the next few steps. And in this example, I will also teach you how you can use CSS to change the look and feel of this button, how you can apply CSS properties or CSS-like properties to change the look and feel of this button.
So when I go to run my configuration, I'm not seeing the new JavaFX app3 file pop up.
Did you run it once at least?
3
or 4, because I'm on 4 right now.
Oh, sorry. No, 4, sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
I think I got it.
Okay, cool. Okay, so once you have a button there, you can add tooltip to the button. A tooltip is when you hover over a button, it shows a little stuff on the screen, and that's what's called your tooltip. So tooltip is also a built-in class, by the way. All of these are little built-in classes. So what Java did, for every little thing, it created a class, because that would make it so much easier for it to then standardize things, because then it can share it with many classes. As button is not the only one that needs a tooltip. So anybody who needs a tooltip can create a tooltip object, can assign that tooltip object to any other object, and now that object will have a tooltip. So if I want to install my tooltip on the button, I need to use my tooltip object, and I need to call the method install. And I can say, you know what, I want to install the tooltip on the exit button. That's it. And now when I hover over the button, you see the little tooltip, the gray tooltip with the white text that reads exit button. That's what shows. Okay, everybody got it this far? Now let's move on to the CSS properties. So let me create a string object. And this will be comprising on a few lines. For now, I will start out with 2 properties so that you can see it happening, and then we can add more properties. In CSS, if I want to give a background color, how do you write a background color property in CSS? From what you learn in your internet programming class, guys, the same stuff.
Isn't it just background color, color?
Close enough. Close enough. Would anybody else would like to give it a shot?
Did I miss the hyphen?
Yes, yes. It is background hyphen color. And then you can give, let's say, some kind of a hexadecimal color or something, okay? The only difference is that you will prefix this with fx, fx hyphen, because this is a CSS property that is to go in the JavaFX. So they came up with their own proprietary syntax, XML-based syntax, which looks like CSS, and a semicolon, of course. Okay. Let me add another property here. Let's say I want to have a FX font size and 18 points. You guys have used point system in internet programming, right? How many points make 1 inch?
I can't say we've used points very much.
Okay, did you guys use then EMs and EXs?
Yes, EM.
Okay. Okay. But 72 points equals 1 inch. This is absolute unit, and EM and EX are relative units. So now we need to assign these CSS properties to the button. So we can say button, which is exit, dot set style, and that's it. Now when I run it, my button has a background color of this grayish background color, and the text color is also this grayish text color. which is the default color, you know, it's blackish grayish, okay? But right now, all I've done is I've changed the background color and I've increased the font size. Those are the only two things I did. If I want to add more properties, I could be doing it in one long string, but I'm doing it in concatenation form only so that it is easier for you guys to see them. So I will be adding maybe like, how about 3 more properties? So I'll add an FX text fill. That is only for the text color. So here you can see the 2 variations. I could use named colors and I could use hexadecimal colors. Both are perfectly okay. And there is a third way to give color as well. So let me say, I want to give it a border color, and I'll use an RGB color where each value is between 0 and 255. So it's RGB. So the first number is red, the second is green, the last is blue. And let me add, hold on a second, one more property. So FX font family, and this is to change the font name. So let's say if I want to have a career new font, and here we go. Not the coolest, but just so that you guys can see how we can add stuff. So let me clear your feedbacks for you to give me a new feedback when you're done. You good, Bart? We're still coding.
It's not getting the same result. I'm just trying to see what I did wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Let me know after you looked at it. If you could not figure it out yourself, let me know and we can have a look at it.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Okay, let me stop sharing and then you can share your screen.
These 2 were working, and then when
Yeah.
I added the 3, it wasn't.
Yeah, on the very last line after career new, you need a closing single quotes after the word new.
Oh, okay.
Okay, save the changes and try now.
There you go.
There you go.
Awesome.
Okay. Let me stop this from running and let me save this one as number 5. Just so that I can teach you guys more scene graphs. So far we looked at a scene graph called group. There, let me comment out this one. Let me change my app to 5. There is another scene graph called HBox, which is a horizontal box. So it allows you to put items on horizontal axis only. So it doesn't matter you add 100 items, they will all be placed horizontally. It's similarly to HBox, we have VBox. And also, you don't necessarily have to add the item right when you instantiate your root element. You could just simply add one or more items afterwards. So I will teach you how to add one now, and then in the next examples, we will learn how you can add more than one. So I can say root dot get children. So it returns an entire array of children. So I said, okay, to the list of the children, I want you to add this node called exit. And by the way, it's not group, it is root that you should display on the scene. And same stuff, you know, you run it and you go to run configurations. It's same stuff, very similar output, except for the fact that I used an HBox versus a group. Okay. Now, in the same example, I will make one more change. Let me teach you how you can bring in an external style sheet and attach it to your Java program. Just like you can add an external style sheet to your HTML page, you can add an external style sheet to your Java page. So let's do this by, first of all, let's right-click on the source, go to New, and let me go to Other. No, it doesn't has web. Okay, let's do this then. Right-click on source, go to New, and click on File. Right-click on source, go to New File. And let's call this mystyles.css. So in the source folder, I'm creating a file called mystyles.css. And I uppercase the styles S because names are case sensitive. And I hit finish. Okay. Just say associate CSS with the current editor. If it gives you this, click OK. And let me, right click.
Which one do I click? The show ID extensions or associates CSS?
Say that again.
Which of the two selections do I choose? The show IDE
Show,
or
yeah, the second one, the ID.
the associates CSS files? Okay.
So you can right click and you can just go to open with and choose text editor, and it will open up right within Eclipse. And we would like to set up an ID called exit, and I'm giving it the same ID as the name of my button. Then I'll do some copy pasting, and after that, I will be removing some of the stuff. So this whole code block that you have, string str and all of that stuff, copy this whole code block and pasted right here within the curly braces of exit.
Can you
And
hold on 1 sec? I'm having
sure,
it's
yeah.
asking me to open different applications now, and I don't really know what's going on.
Okay, how about you share your screen and I'll guide you so that you can get to where I am right now.
Okay.
Okay. Just choose.
Can I just choose?
No, just choose just once for now. Okay, just once. Just once. Okay, cool. Now right click on yeah, once it opens up, you can close that. Whenever, yeah, close that and then right click and open with and choose text editor. Awesome, cool. That's where I am right now. So here we go. Okay, so you put this here. And after that, you go to the Java file and copy this string str, this whole thing, copy it and paste it right within the curly braces. And we now need to remove all of the Java syntax and leave behind pure CSS stuff. So all these concatenations and double quotes and extra semicolons, all of that I removed. And this is what's left over that I will save. And let me clear your feedbacks for you guys to give me a new feedback when you are done with these changes. Okay. Now I want you to go to your FX application and let's delete all these lines. And instead of saying exit dot set styles to str, we will say exit dot set ID to exit. And why am I setting it to an ID called exit? Because in my CSS document, that's the ID that I gave. So I need to use the same ID name. That exit button, you must grab all your properties from an ID called exit. Now comes the question, okay, how will my Java know where's the CSS document located? And that's what line number 20 is for. I will tell my scene that you need to get your style sheets from this location, my styles.css. And let's run it. Same output. Now that we have seen the output, maybe I want to go back and change colors. Let's say if I want my text to be yellow color. And I want to save the changes and rerun it. Not this guy. Come on. Wow, why is it getting so slow? Oh, no, no. Is it doing the same thing for you guys? Slowing and not showing anything?
No, mine I got.
You got the yellow?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, maybe my Eclipse is acting up. I will close it and I'll reopen it. For some reason, computer is acting up. Wow, taking forever to load. Here we go. Here we go. Awesome. Okay. So now let's save this example as number 6. Rename it to number 6. And instead of the button and the tooltip and the CSS, I'm just removing all those extra lines that I don't need. And I am introducing another object called slider. The good thing about slider is you can give the starting point, the end point, and maybe like the minimum, the maximum, and the initial point. That's what the slider, you have a sliding bar that you can use. Okay. And instead of H box, how about if I use a V box so that you can also learn about that? There is another object called V box for vertical box. And I can add a slider to the V box, and I can add the V box to the, oops, sorry. I don't need this line, sorry. I can, that's what's remaining. My slider add. Okay. So that's my slider. It can slide left, it can slide right. Okay, now let's start adding some properties to my slider so that you can see what it can do. Slider dot set major, oops, tick unit 10.0. So every 10 markers, I want to have a major tick unit. Slider dot set minor tick count to 5. Slider dot set show tick labels to true. And slider dot set show tick marks to true. So I want to show the labels and I want to show the marks. So when I run it, you can see that I can see the major marks, minor marks, and I can actually also see the labels like 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, and like that. Let me clear your feedbacks to give me your feedbacks. And let's take a break here till 7:45. And then we will resume at 7:45. And we will learn, I'll start the recording, clear the feedback. And then, oops, clear the feedback. And then let me share my screen. Okay. So in our next example, I want to start getting into event handling with JavaFX. So to get that done, I want to first of all save my current example as number 7. Rename, get rid of the slider. I do not need the slider. And let's rebuild a different application. And we will also learn how you can add multiple items to your VBox. So we will use a built-in class called color picker. This is only the step 1 of the application. I created a color picker object and I assigned that color picker object a default color of red. And then I added the color picker to my VBox on line number 17 and look at the color picker. It just gives you a swash to pick your colors. If you want more coloring options, then you can click on custom color and voila, beautiful, right? You can choose the color by choosing, you know, customization, red, green, blue, web safe colors, all of that stuff right here in one place. You know, it shows you your previous color, your new color. You make a choice, you click use. Okay, I mean, like, of course, we do not have anything attached to it, but it just captures that color, whatever color you want to pick. Okay. So far, that's all this app does. It lets you choose a color, but doesn't do anything with that color because we have not yet done any event handling. So what I want to do is I want to create a circle. And I want to create a circle of radius 50 pixels. And I want this particular circle to start out with the fill color that's coming from color picker. So as you can see, we call the set value to set the value of the color picker, and we're using get value to get the value of the color picker. And we need to add the circle to the VBox on line number 19. And when you do that, this is what basically you will see. A circle which has the same color as the default color of the color picker, and then you see the color picker. What we need to do is we need to write an event handler that will allow us to choose a color, and as we choose a color, assign that same color to the circle. So whenever you guys are done with this much, you give me a thumbs up, and then we will go to the event handling part. Bart, let me know when you're done.
I'm having an error with the color picker in the set fill. For some reason, it's not giving me.
Did you check the P is uppercase for picker?
Oh wait, that's what it is. Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have what I have so far or no?
Oh yes, hold on. I get the
Oh,
in there. And then, yep, I got it.
okay, cool. Okay. Now let's get to the event handling part. So right here, I will call the color picker object dot set on action. Set on action. And if you guys remember from one of the chapters we did in the book, where we were able to create a class, an unnamed inner class on the fly. And that's exactly what we will be doing. An unnamed inner class on the fly. So what we want to do is we want to say, okay, in case of an event handler, we want to trigger an event. And if you guys remember what I'm just writing here in the last chapter that we covered, the generics chapter, that's exactly where we learn about the syntax. That I'm creating an object of event handler type, but since event handler is a generic class, I need to pass what kind of event it will be handling. So I'm telling it that you will be handling a click event, which is action event. So when you're importing the packages, you got to make sure that you are importing JavaFX packages or JavaFX interfaces. So get this far with only a red line on the right-hand side, and you should have in the import for action event and event handler. Now, why in the world is line 21 giving me an error? What exactly is an event handler? I want you to hover over the event handler, not here, but at the top in your imports. What is the first symbol that you see, the blue color symbol, right? What is the letter that you see inside that blue symbol?
An I.
I. And what does I means? C is for class. What is I for?
I forgot. It was
Interface.
Interface. Very good. Okay. And all the methods in the interface are
abstract.
Abstract. That means the reason it's complaining about line 21 is that you brought in an interface and you want to create an unnamed instance, but you have not yet coded the abstract method. So all you need to do is hover over where it says event handler and click on add unimplemented methods. When you do that, it will override the handle method. That's the only abstract method in the event handler. And this handle method's job is to handle the event. What is it that I want to do when somebody clicks a color in the color picker? I'm pretty much doing the same thing as I'm doing on line number 19, copy and paste this. So I want to get the value of color picker, and I want to assign that as a color for my circle. That's all I want to do. Grab the value of the color that the user has picked and give that color to the circle. Let's see if my application is doing that. Okay, so let me go down in the drop-down box and let me choose a color. See, whatever color I pick, that is the color of the circle. Got it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, now let's save this one as number 8.java. And instead of color picker, I want to use something else. So let me delete this. Do not delete the event handling part. Leave the event handling part. Let's work with a date picker. So that should give us calendar-like look and feel. And to work with it, let me create a label object. And a button object so that I can trigger my event on the button. So it is the button that is on action. So let me get rid of this circle logic. And in my V box, I will be adding some objects, but not right now. Okay, we'll figure out what to add, when to add, how to add. Okay, so that's how things look like for now. Okay. So what I want to do, first of all, is I want to grab the value from the date picker, and I want to give that value to my label. That's what I want to do. But in order for me to grab the value from the date picker, I need an object of local date class, which will help the date picker's value to be stored. And then my label date can set its text based on the value. So I need to convert that to a string. The reason I have to convert it into a string, because labels can only take string values. So I'm grabbing the local date value, I'm converting it to the string type, and then I'm giving that to a label date. And I'm doing it on button click because all of this is happening on button. So in my V box, I will add my button, my date picker, my label date. Oops, sorry, button date, date picker, and label date. And let's say maybe I want to make it 960 by 300 pixels and my date app. So let me pick a date and read it. So when I hit read, it just reads it and displays it in the label. That's all it does. Now comes the question, okay, when I am running this application the first time, I need some kind of a label to tell the user what to expect. So I will be adding some of the labels on the fly. You could do that too. So for example, I can say new label, choose a date. That's one label. And then I can add another label right here before the other, the LVL date label, which will say you chose, and then the date. And maybe I want to change the placement of the button to after the date picker. And it'll be button date like that. Okay, so I just changed the positions of different items, and as a result, see, it's a different look and feel. So how you add the items is a sequence of how these items are displayed. So I pick a date, I click on read date, and here the date gets displayed. Got it, everybody? Okay. Let's save this one as number 9. And let's get rid of the date picker logic. Oops. And rather, I want to have this. I want to.
Why is it do that?
Oh, yours is not working?
No. It's just, it's for some reason the name of the title just changed on itself. I don't know why
Oh.
that happens. Sorry. I was talking to myself. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. So what I want to do is I want to accept from user in a text field the first name and the last name. I want to concatenate them in another label and display them as last name comma first name syntax. So that's what I want to do. So for that, I will need a couple of labels, but I could do that on the fly to say to enter first name. And then I can have a first name text box, enter last name and have a last name text box, and then have a button, and then can have a final output. So I could basically do it that way. So let's create these text fields. So text field, F name text equals to new text field. L name text, and that's another text field. So I have 2 text fields like that. Instead of label date, it will be label full name. And instead of button date, it'll be button concatenate. Create full name. So button concatenate dot set on action. What I want to do is when somebody click the button, I want to grab the data from the two text fields and put it into the final label, which is LBL full name. So I will wait for you guys to get this far. Let me know when you are this far and are done with the top portion and are ready to write the code inside the action handler. Because I'll be asking you a few questions as I build this code. So for example, I want to read the value from a text box. Should I use a setter or a getter? I want to read the value from the text box.
A getter.
A getter, right? So I can have a string called fn for the first name, and I can say fname text dot get text. So that will give me the text from the first name. I could use the same logic to get the text from the last name. Then I can have my full name string to which I can concatenate it lname, fname. So my whole logic is done. When you have made this far, can you tell me how can I put this full name in a label called LBL full name? How can I assign this full name to the label?
Wouldn't it just use the set text with the label full name as its parameter?
Exactly. LBL full name dot set text and assign the full name to it. Right. Okay. Very good. Okay. Now let's work with line 30. Enter first name followed by my first name text, comma, my next label, enter last name followed by my lname text box, followed by my date text box, sorry, date button, not date button, concatenate button, followed by your full name, and then my full name text box, just like that. My name app. Okay, so that's what this does. I could reduce the width to 200 pixels. And after that, it just becomes something like this. John. Where's John? Okay, everybody got this? Oh, let me clear your feedback for you guys to let me know. Everybody got it? And Bart. Now, one of the things that you guys might be noticing that a lot of this, what we are coding, you may not be able to understand if you have not gone through the basics of Java. For example, how you instantiate objects, how you call the getters, the setters, how you can call the constructors, what is inheritance, you know, all of that stuff. And here you can see generics, interfaces, embedded in unnamed classes, all of those concepts that you had learned are now coming in. For example, here, throws exception means if anything goes wrong with this method start, throw an exception to the caller. The caller would be whoever initializes start, which would be launch. So all of these things could only make sense if we have learned Java as a language, which that's why it is a little bit different than Visual Studio, because in Visual Studio, you could be building this interface without actually having to learn object-oriented programming, because everything is done at the interface level. But Java is different. Well, of course, there are Java designer apps where you can design the interface, but again, I want you to learn what you're designing through the actual syntax, because eventually we'd have to go behind the scene and code. I don't know if that makes sense.
I'm having an error in the VBox argument. So I
Okay,
don't know why. I
check
think it's
check your commas. You know, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 commas. And check your parentheses. One of the ways you could do that, I sometimes do it this way initially. And this basically helps you organize your objects, and you can see that, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 objects. I have 6 commas. All objects have parentheses that need parentheses, otherwise have names.
I don't. I mean, I haven't done anything. I don't see what I've done different.
Okay, how about you share your screen and let's have a look at it together. Okay. Can you save the changes? Okay. Can you hover over line 34? Okay, it says the constructor is undefined. Okay, can you scroll up to the top? And can you open line number 1? Expand line number 1. Okay, delete line number 1 because you got the text field from the wrong class, from the wrong package. Okay, now organize your imports and choose JavaFX, the second one. Right,
That happened to me earlier.
that's it. Because VBox does not works with AWT, only works with JavaFX. So save the changes. And that's it.
How do I know which one to choose next time?
Well,
It's
whenever,
just JavaFX because of
yes,
this class.
yes, whenever your class is a child of application, that is an indicator that all your classes must be JavaFX classes.
But then, like, let's say it's not for JavaFX. How do I know which one to choose? Just based off of whatever class I'm trying to get to.
What do you mean?
I'm just asking for like imports, like because sometimes I get like two options and I don't really know what the
It's all by context. For example, if I choose a date class, we have a date class in utility and I have a date class in SQL package. So if I'm working with databases, I will use the date class from the SQL package. If I'm working with system, I'll use the date class from utility package.
Okay.
It's all based on the context. So if I'm building an FX application, I'll use FX classes. If I'm using Swing application, I'll use Swing or AWT classes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so now I want you guys to save this as number 10. And then I'm giving you guys a task in the chat, and I'll put you guys in a breakout room in a group to solve the problem. So you will change this problem around to solve what I want you to solve. Okay. So I'll give you, just give me 1 minute. I'm going to give you the problem in the chat. Okay. That's what I want you guys to do. So I'm giving you guys 15 minutes to solve this problem, where you will turn this application around to calculate the square feet of a room. So instead of first name, last name, you will be accepting width, height. Make sure you change the object names and the whole 9 yards accordingly. Okay. Is 15 minutes good enough?
Yeah, that should be enough.
Okay, there you go. Awesome. Awesome. So let me share with you what I did here. I accepted the two values from user and width and text, width text and length text to be my two text fields. So I converted that into a double value. After I converted those into double values, calculated area, and then put the area concatenated with square feet in the label area And all of this action was happening in a button called button solve. And here was the relabeling of the items or renaming of the items. You probably did something similar, I believe.
Yeah, we literally the same thing.
Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. So again, it's the same idea that you can take it to do any kind of calculations or to work with any kind of input from the user, and then you can work your way through the process. Let's now look at the JavaFX app lifecycle, that what methods does a particular app goes through. Some of these methods actually run behind the scene without your knowledge. So for this one, let me create a brand new class called JavaFX lifecycle, and just make sure that you are using application as a superclass with a public static void main. Start method will automatically be coded for you because that's a default override. What method should I call in my main method?
Launch.
Launch. Okay. Now you know that there is a method called start, but that's not the only method. You also have another method that you override, which is actually called before start, and that's called the init method. So we will override a public void init method. In init method. And then in start method. So when you run this example, it's a very simple example. It calls init, and then it calls start automatically, because you are only calling launch. Launch will automatically first call init, and will then call start. So init always runs. You override it or you don't. The main idea of you overriding start is so that you can control the look and feel of your stage, your window, in which you can put your scene, in which you can put your scene graph, in which you can put your items. That's pretty much the whole idea of the start method. Okay. Very similar to the init method, you also have another method called stop, which automatically gets called when your application comes to an end. Okay, so right now init and start are there. I hit the stop button, but stop runs. You won't see its output on the screen because it just gets fired behind the scene. You don't necessarily see it happening, but it also runs as one of the method behind the scene.
having some problems. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here.
That work for you, Bart?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just kind of being weird. I think I'm getting it. I think I got it though.
Okay, cool, awesome. So that's basically how the app's life cycle works. And that's where we will stop for this class. And we will continue working a little bit more deeper into the JavaFX. And we will then be incorporating the JavaFX with other technologies as we progress through that next level of the class in advanced Java, as I told you guys about. So for now, as you can see already on the blackboard under unit number 11, that's where the items are. I will be putting today's recording under the very first link, which says March 6th, without changing the dates for that. And you have a chapter 13 review that, let me change the due date to the 9th. But to make it a little bit easier for you guys, I am removing the assignment so that because you have a final to also work on. So you have a quiz to complete. I removed the assignment for this week. And under the final, you have a final exam. Let me open that for you as well. So from today till the 9th, the final exam is available. So as I said, it has 50 questions from a pool of 80 questions, all randomized. Each question carries 8 points, total points 400. It is not timed. However, it must be completed by next week, Wednesday midnight.